Alaska, the largest state in the United States, is geographically isolated. It shares only a maritime border with the contiguous United States. Most of its goods must travel through Canada. This underscores the importance of a stable U.S. Canada relationship. The two countries share the world's longest undefended border. They have collaborated on issues from defense to environmental protection. However, recent trade tensions have raised concerns. These tensions impact Alaska's supply routes and economic stability. Alaska relies on Canadian highways for essential goods. Everything from groceries to construction materials flows through Canada. This dependence makes Alaska vulnerable to trade disruptions. The Alaska Highway, completed in 1942, stands as a testament to the historical cooperation between the United States and Canada. Built during World War II, this strategic road connected Alaska to the contiguous United States through Canada. Today it serves as a vital artery for Alaskan trade, facilitating the movement of goods and people. Beyond the Alaska Highway, a network of other major roads and highways crisscross the U.S. Canada border. These routes are essential for the efficient transportation of goods to and from Alaska. They represent lifelines for Alaskan businesses and communities that depend on the timely delivery of supplies. However, recent trade tensions have highlighted the vulnerability of this interconnected system. Disagreements over trade policies, tariffs, and border security measures have the potential to disrupt the smooth flow of goods along these critical transportation routes. The imposition of tariffs or the implementation of new border procedures could lead to delays, increased costs, and economic uncertainty for businesses operating in both Alaska and Canada. The interconnected nature of the supply chains means that disruptions on one side of the border are likely to be felt on the other. In 2018, the Trump administration imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from Canada, citing national security concerns. These tariffs marked a significant departure from the decades-long policy of free trade between the two countries. They sparked a trade war that had far-reaching implications for the U.S.-Canada relationship and for Alaska's economy. The Trump administration argued that these tariffs were necessary to protect American jobs and industries from unfair competition. However, critics argued that the tariffs were counterproductive, raising prices for consumers and businesses and damaging the economies of both countries. Canada, a close ally and trading partner of the United States, was taken aback by the tariffs, viewing them as an affront to the long-standing economic relationship between the two countries. The Canadian government quickly retaliated with tariffs of its own on a range of U.S. products, including steel, aluminum, and agricultural goods. The tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum were particularly concerning for Alaska, as they directly impacted the cost of construction materials in the state. Alaska relies heavily on imported steel and aluminum for infrastructure projects such as roads, bridges, and buildings. Canada bites back retaliatory measures. In response to the United States tariffs, Canada imposed retaliatory tariffs on a range of American goods. These countermeasures were carefully calibrated to target products originating from states politically important to the Trump administration. The Canadian government also explored other options to pressure the United States to reconsider its tariff policies. One such option involved the potential imposition of tolls on Canadian highways frequently used by American truckers transporting goods to and from Alaska. While the Canadian government stopped short of implementing such tolls, the threat alone sent ripples of concern through the Alaskan business community. The prospect of tolls on Canadian highways highlighted Alaska's vulnerability to trade disputes between the United States and Canada. Even if the tolls were not directly applied to goods destined for Alaska, the increased transportation costs for American businesses would likely be passed down the supply chain, ultimately impacting Alaskan consumers. Beyond tariffs and tolls, Canada also sought to diversify its trading partners, signing new trade agreements with the European Union and Pacific Rim countries. This diversification strategy aimed to reduce Canada's reliance on the United States market and send a message that Canada was prepared to weather the storm of a prolonged trade war. A chorus of discontent reactions to the trade spat. The trade dispute between the United States and Canada elicited strong reactions from political leaders, businesses, and the public. In the United States, lawmakers expressed concerns about the tariffs' impact on businesses and consumers. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau called the tariffs unacceptable and unjustified. He received widespread support from Canadians who rallied behind their government's decision to retaliate. Businesses on both sides of the border felt the pinch of the trade war. American manufacturers faced higher costs for imported steel and aluminum, while Canadian businesses experienced declining sales and job losses. The long shadow of tariffs United States-Canada relations at a crossroads. The trade tensions between the United States and Canada under the Trump administration cast a long shadow over the bilateral relationship. While the tariffs were eventually lifted, the damage to the trust and goodwill that had long characterized United States-Canada relations was significant. The trade dispute exposed the vulnerabilities of the highly integrated North American economy. It also highlighted the limits of using tariffs as a tool to achieve political objectives. The tariffs ultimately hurt businesses and consumers on both sides of the border, while doing little to address the underlying economic anxieties that fueled their imposition. The trade war served as a wake-up call for both countries, prompting them to reassess their economic dependence on each other and to explore ways to diversify their trading relationships. It also underscored the importance of strong rules-based international institutions, such as the World Trade Organization, in mitigating trade disputes and promoting global economic stability. Ripples in the global pond, the wider implications of trade wars. The trade dispute between the United States and Canada was just one example of a broader trend of rising protectionism and trade tensions around the world. The Trump administration's embrace of tariffs as a primary tool of economic policy had ripple effects across the globe, disrupting supply chains, raising prices for consumers, and injecting uncertainty into the global economy. The trade war between the United States and China, the world's two largest economies, was particularly disruptive, impacting businesses and consumers worldwide. The tariffs imposed by both countries led to higher prices for a wide range of goods, from electronics to agricultural products. The rise of protectionism threatened to undermine the rules-based international trading system that had underpinned decades of global economic growth. The World Trade Organization, the institution tasked with mediating trade disputes and promoting free trade, was weakened by the Trump administration's decision to block the appointment of judges to its appellate body. The trade tensions of the late 2010s and early 2020s served as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of the global economy. They highlighted the importance of international cooperation and the need for a rules-based system to manage trade disputes and promote economic stability.